you do when you've lost your spirit, you've lost your job, you lost everything, life been devastated? What do? When you have been telling yourself you can reach your goal and you're losing every day. Once you are defeated in your mind, ladies and gentlemen, it's all over.
Your problem is your pain has identified you. Your pain has reached you. You're not the first one. You won't be the last one. You can turn that divorce into something. You're not the first one to lose your promotion and get fired. You're not the first one. You're not the first one they let go of. You won't be the last one. The question is what you're going to do about it.
I know what it is to walk the floor and you don't know how you're going to make it. When people no longer believe in you and you are all you got. And you got to say to yourself, when you fail again and again, they tell you no. Sometimes with tears in your eyes, it's possible. When life staggers you, the thing that'll get you up on your knees and get you standing in the center of the ring and find something from somewhere deep down here to keep on slugging and keep on fighting is, it's possible. It's possible. If I just stand long enough, I can pull this off. When you're facing defeat, disappointment, seems like life has written you off and everybody say you can't do it. You don't have what it takes. All you need to affirm that in spite of this, it's possible that I can do it.
So what makes ET different than everybody else? Every year I just kept going. I kept going. And I kept going. And I kept saying one day gonna be my day. But you know what I'm not gonna do? I'm not gonna quit in the process. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna give in. I invested too much to quit. I made too many sacrifices to give up. I paid too much. Listen to me. I cannot stop what happens to me, but I can dictate how I respond. So when life happens, I don't just sit there and cry. I buck back. I will greet this day with love in my heart, and I will overcome evil. And the problem with some of you in this room, you will never be great because every time you go through pain, every time you go through a problem, every time you go through discouragement, you give up and you quit and you do not understand that at the end of pain is your meal. At the end of pain is your reward. At the end of pain is your productivity. At the end of pain is your promise. So do me a favor. Stop crying about it and use your energy to get through it. I'm talking to you. You're going through a storm right now. And I'm telling you that this too shall pass like every storm that has come to you. I'm telling you, whatever you're going through right now, if you can just muster up enough strength to hold on and hold out, if you do not quit, if you do not give up, it's coming, baby. Hold on. I don't care how long it takes you to finish school. Hold on. I don't care how long it takes you to pass that bar exam. You keep going. You keep studying, you keep writing, you keep boxing, you keep fighting, you keep dribbling, you just keep on keeping on. And if you persevere, every storm that's come, it will pass.
Of all the subjects we've covered so far and are about to cover, none is more important than covering the disciplines for success. What's at the core of achieving the good life? The major key to the good life. The major key is not in learning how to set goals. It is not in learning how to better manage your time. It is not in mastering the attributes of leadership. Every day in 1,000 different ways, we are trying to improve ourselves by learning how to do things. We spend a lifetime gathering knowledge in classrooms, in textbooks, in experiences. Now, if knowledge is power, if knowledge is the forerunner to success, then why do we fall short of our objectives? Why, in spite of all our knowledge and in spite of our collective experiences, do we find ourselves aimlessly wandering, settling for a life of existence rather than a life of substance? There may be many answers to this question. Your answers may be different than your associates or your spouses or your friends. While there may be many answers to this question, the fundamental answer is the absence of discipline. Applying all that we know. That's the key word, discipline, self-discipline. We might add one more word here, consistent. Consistent self-discipline. It doesn't really matter how smart you are or how much you know if you don't use it. It doesn't really matter that you graduated magna cum laude if you're stuck in a low-paying job. It doesn't really matter if you attended every seminar that comes to town if you don't apply what you've learned. Better than knowledge is applied knowledge. And once we've applied our knowledge, we must study the results of that process. Apply our knowledge, study the results, refine our approach. Finally, by trying and observing and refining and trying again, our knowledge will inevitably produce worthy results, admirable results. And with the joy and results of our efforts, we continue to apply, to learn, to observe, to fuel our ambition with the positive reinforcement of continued progress. Pretty soon, we'll find that we're swept into a spiral of achievement, a vertical rise to success. And the ecstasy of that total experience makes for a life of triumph over tragedy, dullness, and mediocrity. But for this whole process to work for us, we must first master the art of discipline, self-discipline, consistent self-discipline. It takes consistent self-discipline to master the art of setting goals, to master the art of time management, to master the art of leadership, to master the art of parenting and relationships. If we don't make consistent self-discipline part of our daily lives, the results we seek will be sporadic and elusive. It takes a consistent effort to truly manage our valuable time, or we'll be consistently frustrated. Our time will be eaten up by others whose demands are stronger than our own. It takes discipline to conquer the nagging voices in our minds, the fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of poverty, the fear of a broken heart. It takes discipline to keep trying when that nagging voice within us brings up the possibility of failure. It takes discipline to admit our errors and recognize our limitations. The voice of the human ego speaks to all of us. Sometimes the voice of ego says that we should magnify our value beyond our results. It leads us to exaggerate, to not be totally honest. It takes discipline to be totally honest, both with ourselves and with others. Be certain of one thing: every exaggeration of the truth, once detected by others, destroys our credibility and makes all that we say and do suspect. As soon as a business colleague figures out that we tend to exaggerate, guess what? They'll always think we exaggerate, and they'll never quite hold us in the same regard again. The tendency to exaggerate, distort, or even withhold the truth is an inherent part of all of us. And only an all-out, disciplined assault can overcome this tendency. It takes discipline to change a habit, because habits are formed a little bit each day, every day, every day. Once habits are formed, they act like a giant cable. They act like a nearly unbreakable instinct that only long-term disciplined activity can change. We must unweave every strand of the cable of habits slowly and methodically, until the cable that once held us in bondage becomes nothing more than scattered strands of wire. It takes the consistent application of a new discipline, a more desirable one, to overcome one which is less desirable. It takes discipline to plan. It takes discipline to execute our plan. It takes discipline to look with full objectivity at the results of our applied plan. And it takes discipline to change either our plan or our method of executing that plan if the results are poor. It takes discipline to be firm when the world throws opinions at our feet. It takes discipline to ponder the value of someone else's opinion when our pride and our arrogance leads us to believe that we are the only ones with the answers. Discipline is a constant human awareness of the need for action, and a conscious act by us to implement that action. Discipline is an awareness of the constant need for action and a conscious act to implement that action. If our awareness and our implementations occur at the same time, then we begin a valued sequence of disciplined activity. Now here's the other side of discipline. If there's considerable time that passes between the moment of awareness and the time of our implementation, then that is called procrastination. Doing it tomorrow instead of today. Procrastination, an almost exact opposite of discipline. The voice within us says, get it done. Discipline then says, do it now. Do it to the best of your ability, today. tomorrow, and always, until finally the worthy deed becomes instinct. Procrastination says later, tomorrow, whenever I get a chance. Procrastination also says do what is necessary to get by or to impress others. Do what you can, but not what you must. In every circumstance we face, we are constantly presented with these two choices. Do it now or do it later. Discipline and procrastination. A choice between a disciplined existence, bearing the fruit of achievement and contentment, or procrastination, the easy life for which the future will bear no fruit, only the bare branches of mediocrity. The rewards of a disciplined life are great, but they're often delayed until some time in the future. The rewards for the lack of discipline are immediate, but they are minor in comparison to the immeasurable rewards of consistent self-discipline. An immediate reward for lack of discipline is a fun day at the beach. A future reward of discipline is owning the beach. For most, we choose today's pleasure rather than tomorrow's fortune. So how can you get rid of the easy distractions? How can you keep your mind on what you're trying to do? How can you keep an attitude of doing it all and doing it now? How can you make the choice of discipline over procrastination? How can you stay focused on your ambitions? How can you avoid conversations at the water cooler? You can keep your focus on your work. You can get it done today instead of tomorrow. You've got to really work on your consistent self-discipline on a daily basis, or you'll find yourself distracted. Distracted by negative thoughts, distracted by negative people, distracted by water cooler chatter, and pretty soon, depending on the type of people you've associated with, distracted by your doubts within yourself. Never underestimate the power of influence and associations, and never underestimate the power of your own consistent self-discipline. Now let's take a closer look at discipline. True discipline is not the easiest option. Most people would rather sleep until 10 o'clock than get up at 6. It's easier to go to bed late, sleep late, show up late, leave early. It's easier not to read. It's easier to turn on the television than to open a book. It's easier to do just enough than to do it all. Waiting is always easier than acting. Trying is always easier than doing. Imagine what life would be like if we didn't have to make our bed in the morning, or keep our garage clean, or pay our taxes, or show up for work tomorrow. Wouldn't it be fascinating if we didn't have to do these things? Wouldn't it be fascinating? What do you suppose would become of us? You're right, not much. For whatever the reason, the system we live in and contribute to is designed to make the easiest things in life the most unprofitable. Profitable seems to be the most difficult. Our world is and always will be a constant battle between the life of ease and its momentary rewards and a life of discipline and its far more significant rewards. Each has its own price, the price of discipline or the price of regret. We will pay one or the other. What we wish we had done is the voice of regret, speaking in a sorrowful tone at a time when there is no going back. This is regret. No second chance. No what would I do differently. Choose one or the other, but both will have their price, the price of discipline or the price of regret. One costs pennies, the other a fortune. Dostoevsky said, "There are hundreds of young men who would die for the truth, but very few who would spend 5 years studying to know what the truth is."
At one point in your life, you're going to have to jump. You cannot play it safe your whole life. Ships are safe when they're in port, right? But that ain't what ships is built for. You're built to go far away places. If your job is your port, you're not built for that.
Because many people don't go as far as they should go because they have apprehension that they won't reach their goal. They just say, I'm going to stay down here where I'm at and not try because I might lose. I'm not going to own anything because I might lose it. I'm not going to get married because I might get a divorce. I want it, but I don't want all the stuff that comes with it. That's madness, but that's how it is. And when you do that and you reject God's opportunity, you are left with nothing but the hope of magic. It's like believing God that you're going to get pregnant and not gain weight.
Some people never will have much. They're too cautious. I used to say, what if this happens? And on top of that, if this was to happen, look at the fix I'd be in. I better not try. Then I'll tell you what changed my whole life when I finally discovered it's all risky. Getting married is risky. Having children is risky. Going into business is risky. Investing your money is risky. It's all risky. The Englishman says, well, if that's the way it's going to work out, let's give it a go. Right, that's what it's for. Give it a go.
Now here's why you should take the chance. Name me one time God has not pulled you through. And the reason I know I'm telling the truth is because you're sitting in here. Man, you owe yourself something. Go be free. Go see what God got for you. Oh, Steve, that's easy for you to say. You rich. Hell, did you hear me? I lived in a car for 3 years.
Don't ask for security. Ask for adventure. And see, it's not important how long you live. What's important is how you live. A life full of adventure is a life full of many decisions. The ones that turn out to be wrong give you better experience to make better decisions. So don't see how many decisions you can get out of, see how many you can get into. That's where the adventure is.
And if you will allow anyone, any voice on the inside to talk you out of this moment, you will forfeit it and be stuck washing your nets when there's a great drought of fish waiting you if you have the courage to believe.
Doubt's like a plague, and one of the worst is self-doubt. The guy doubts himself, doubts if it'll last that long for him, doubts if he can do that well, doubts if he can accomplish all that. This guy rushes up and he says, I've got 5 good reasons why it won't work. He's so dumb he doesn't know all he needs 1. He's got 5.
This often comes from things that people said to you or about you. They programmed you to see yourself in a limited parameter, and so when you see opportunities beyond how you've been programmed, you reject it because you don't feel like you're deserving of it.
So here's the key. Turn this coin over and become a believer. The understanding of self-worth is the beginning of progress.
I'm a hood dude with no education. The mess when I got to the top of the TV world, and I'm telling you, I was homeless and lived in a car, and I ain't got no education. If you destroy the dream, the Bible says a man without a dream or vision shall perish. It never mentions if you don't have an education.
I've been amazed at the people I have met who were highly educated and failing. So education alone is not the solution. I've worked in penal institutions and seen people who were very gifted and incarcerated. In fact, I've seen people with less talent than you doing more than you. You can either become jealous or bitter, or you can begin to challenge yourself to say, what is wrong with my belief systems that's stopping me from going to the next level in this area?
Quit sitting here in your life posturing like it's okay.
Because it's a shame to live long and have no progress. I want to have progress in every area of my life. I've been washing these toilets for 27 years. At least let me be the manager of the toilet washers. Is there anybody in here that wants to move up? You'd be surprised at the people, because they have a belief system that holds on to being ordinary, they will not take the lead. I do not want to stand apart or be different. I am afraid that I will become a target, and you will. But just because they're shooting at you doesn't mean they shot you. But you have to have courage to do that, and you have to be able to see arrows zinging by you, people hating on you, and you have to say like Job, though he slay me, yet shall I trust him. The maybe they'll like me better syndrome keeps you locked into a system that you can't get out of.
Become involved in life. You can come up with excuses, or you can come up with achievements. The choice is in your hands, satisfaction or despair. Want to create a greater sense of fulfillment? Challenge your fears. Decide that you're going to take some chances.
It's not a good life. Safe is not a good life. Before you die, you should take a chance.
To live is to risk dying. To try is to risk failure. But risk must be taken, because the greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. And when you no longer fear dying, what else can life threaten you with?
Some people, for fear of having that pressure on them, forfeit the success and stay down rather than to go forward.
Going through life, playing it safe, is like a breathing corpse. You've got to venture into the unknown. You've got to take some chances.
In order to keep growing, you have to keep going. I would like to submit for your consideration that you are not living until you have been living in a scary place.
We grow when we have to stretch, when we're a little bit nervous, unsure of how it's going to work out. You don't like it, but God uses the scary places to move us into our destiny. We weren't made to stay where we are at the same level. We were made to take new ground. You have been armed with strength for every battle. Do it in spite of what thoughts are telling you. You have to stretch and dream a bigger dream. You'll never develop your wings in the nest. Try new things, develop new muscles. In the scary places, you will discover things you never knew you had. It's uncomfortable, but if you'll stay in faith, you're about to discover your wings.